provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Hurricane Melissa blamed for 9 deaths across the island.
PM Holness says 90% of the houses in the historic town of Black River in St. Elizabeth have sustained infrastructural damage as a result of Hurricane Melissa.
Black River is what you would describe as ground zero. But the recovery is not beyond us. It's not beyond the government. It's not beyond the people. And we will get it done.
Patients at Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth to be relocated to health facilities in Mandeville.
Norman Manley International Airport to reopen for commercial operations on Thursday.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority begins island-wide cleanup following the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
In news from the rest of the world, Trinidad and Tobago says it will realign its foreign policy to exclude the Caribbean community.
Leaders of China and the U.S. set to meet in South Korea to try to roll back months of trade tensions.
In headline sports, a former champion trainer at Caymanas Park becomes emotional as he talks about the damage to his stable caused by Hurricane Melissa.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, we look at the aftermath of monstrous Melissa. MP for devastated Southwest St. Elizabeth Floyd Green will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, how would you rate the country's preparation for Hurricane Melissa? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page Nationwide News Network and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the passage of Hurricane Melissa has triggered Jamaica's $25 billion catastrophe bond, paving the way for a full payout to the country under the bond's parametric insurance mechanism. How does the bond work? Economist Keenan Faulkner will tell us.
At 7, the Jamaica Public Service Company says damage assessment is now underway across the island following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. We'll get an update from their Director of Corporate Communications, Winsome Callum.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, October 29, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. 9 people have lost their lives in relation to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. 5 of the deaths were recorded in St. Elizabeth. Head of the Police Division, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, told our news center.
2 reports came in out of the Gallen Bay area, which is just about 2 miles west of the Black River capital. And then inside of Black River town center, we have 2 bodies of 2 males. One along Crane Road that was washed up, and another body in the vicinity of a pump house.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division. Superintendent Minto says 3 men and 1 woman are among the dead. 2 of the men have been identified as 35-year-old Davian Johnson and 57-year-old Glenroy Johnson. Superintendent Minto says preliminary information suggests the 35-year-old drowned and the 57-year-old may have suffered a heart attack. The police say 2 bodies were found at Galleon Beach. The bodies were believed to have washed up as waters begin to recede from the storm surge and flooding produced by Hurricane Melissa. One of the deceased from Galleon Beach has been identified as 57-year-old Darlene Bambridge. The body of a male was later found on Forest Mountain in the parish. A wall reportedly fell on him Tuesday evening. Meanwhile, 3 people died in hurricane-related incidents in the build-up to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. 2 were crushed by trees and 1 was electrocuted before the hurricane made landfall. Superintendent Minto cautions that more bodies could be discovered as police continue the post-hurricane search.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says about 90% of houses in Black River, St. Elizabeth have sustained infrastructural damage as a result of Hurricane Melissa. He made the disclosure on Wednesday while on a tour to assess the extent of the devastation.
I flew over the south coast of St. Elizabeth into Black River, and from Treasure Beach to this point, we could easily say that between 80 to 90% of roofs have been destroyed. A significant number of buildings were damaged. On the ground, the impact is even more palpable. The electricity grid of Black River is totally wiped out. Telecommunications, we have seen 1 tower damaged. The entire infrastructure and everything needed for the convenience of modern living is destroyed here in Black River.
Prime Minister Holness says the government and relief agencies will move swiftly to provide assistance once access to roads is restored. He concedes that rebuilding the historic town of Black River will be a major undertaking.
While it is destroyed, we can vision a future of it rising stronger and better, because the truth is that many of the buildings were not properly located in the first place. They were in vulnerable areas. We will now take the opportunity to properly reorganize the town and to build back even stronger. So yes, we got a big blow. Black River is what you would describe as ground zero. It took the brunt of it, and the corridor through the south of St. Elizabeth, through Black River, going across the island, going into St. James, that corridor was totally damaged.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says patients at Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth will be relocated to health facilities in Mandeville. Dr. Tufton provided the update on Wednesday during a tour of health facilities negatively impacted by the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
We are now about to depart to the Black River town, where Black River Hospital has about 71 patients that have been cut off essentially and staff. So we're going to check on them. We're making arrangement between JDF, NWA to move patients to Mandeville because of the damages done to that facility. Then from there to Cornwall Regional, where we have some issues also, and then to Falmouth and Noel Home. So we're spending the day moving along that coastline, and also to Sablamar, where most of the damages have been sustained, and there is some evacuation for patients.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness.
Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has announced that all health centres will remain closed until further notice as assessments continue in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The hurricane caused widespread power outages and infrastructure damage across the island. The ministry says while hospitals remain open, they are operating strictly in emergency mode, providing only critical and life-saving care. Non-emergency services have been suspended to allow staff to focus on stabilizing operations and managing urgent cases. According to the ministry, 3 hospitals have been severely impacted and are currently unable to accept any patients. These are Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth, Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover, and Falmouth Hospital in Trelawney. Members of the public who had clinic appointments scheduled for this week are asked not to visit health centres at this time. New appointment dates will be provided once the facilities are declared safe and reopened.
Norman Manley International Airport is now open for relief flights and will be reopened for commercial operations on Thursday. According to Transport Minister Darrell Vaz, flights resumed at 4 p.m. on Wednesday.
I'm pleased to advise the country that based on my tours of the airports since this morning, which I have now concluded, I can state clearly that firstly, the Norman Manley International Airport and the Ian Fleming International Airport, Boscobel, will be open today at 4 p.m. for relief flights. It will be open tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for commercial operations, which include incoming and outgoing flights.
Minister Vaz provided the update on the various air terminals across the country on Wednesday. He says Sangster International Airport will be open for relief flights on Thursday.
For Montego Bay, they will tomorrow, Thursday, the 30th of October, at 10 a.m. be open to accommodate relief flights. They are continuing assessment, and we will have a time no later than this afternoon for the reopening for commercial passenger flights, which will be no later than tomorrow, Friday morning, the latest. We will keep you advised and to let you know that the recovery will start once these relief flights come. The devastation is enormous. Words can't describe based on my aerial tour. So we need all hands on deck to recover stronger and to help those in need at this time. God bless Jamaica.
Daryl Vaz, Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has launched an island-wide cleanup operation dedicated to debris generated by Hurricane Melissa. The monstrous Category 5 storm littered the nation's roads with fallen trees, downed power lines, and uncollected garbage. Executive Director Audley Gordon says the NSWMA has enough manpower and equipment to carry out the activities.
This is an island-wide program, and it will see us going everywhere, especially in the heavily affected areas. And we will seek to clear the roadway of all the debris that came from Melissa. We have enough personnel, trained power saw men. We have bucket truck that can go up and take down those branches that are hanging high up. We have, enough management personnel as a part of the team. And we are equipped, very equipped, to tackle this debris management exercise. And so far, it's going very, very well.
Mr. Gordon says the team has also been receiving support from citizens across various parishes.
One of the good things about this exercise is that people are stopping, they are offering help, they are carrying water and juices to the men, they are seeking where they're coming out with machetes. People are joining us and helping us as we go along. So what we see here is that there is a level of patriotism that is emerging where people want to see their country get back together as fast as possible. And we will just keep going until the work is accomplished.
Audley Gordon, Executive Director of the NSWMA.
Meanwhile, teams from the National Works Agency and the municipal corporations have also been mobilized to clear blockages and debris from major roadways. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says clearance operations began Tuesday night.
Already the National Works Agency was active last night in clearing access to the road leading to the Palisades Road and other main roads. We have flooded roads. The NWA team is mobilizing to clear block roads and to assess damage. As conditions improve, some of the roadways that were affected are Dalvin, St. Thomas, Hampton Green in St. Catherine, Caledonia Road in Manchester, and other roads right across the country. And by now, all the municipal corporations that can access their various municipalities will be out doing what is necessary.
Desmond McKenzie, Local Government Minister. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is
5:14.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 in Montego Bay. Continuing the news, Member of Parliament for South Manchester Peter Bunting says relief efforts in the parish are being hampered due to a lack of telecommunication connectivity and electricity. Mr. Bunting also says a number of communities are still marooned due to flooding.
Unfortunately, I would say the relief efforts through the major organizations and the utilities are slow. What we've seen is throughout Manchester, basically no customers have JPS, certainly have JPS power, certainly not in South Manchester. And what that means is that the cell sites also go down. And that compounds the challenge of relaying the information back to the JPS, for example. There are many poles that are down and wires that are down. Some of the poles, huge concrete poles, are blocking the main roads. There are other areas on the main road from Gutters to Alligator Pond by East Downs, just beyond Buttup, where the road is completely inundated with water, and that is impassable, and some communities are essentially marooned.
The MP is currently on the ground assessing the situation. He says many residents are relying on a Starlink connection he's provided. The South Manchester MP says he hopes relief efforts can be ramped up as the floodwaters recede.
So we're hoping another day or two we'll have the roads open so that the agencies responsible for doing the assessment and evaluation will have easy access. But in the short term, we're doing what we can. We're distributing tarpaulins for those who have lost their roofs. We have food packages to those who are more vulnerable. We've come across a number of persons, either elderly or disabled, through illness, and we've been trying to help where we can, make a note of their names, and we'll be sending that information to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for a longer term, more substantive intervention.
Peter Bunting, MP for South Manchester. He was speaking with Nationwide News on Wednesday.
Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnavis, says the town and surrounding areas experienced extensive damage during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The Category 5 system unleashed heavy rainfall and destructive winds, causing widespread devastation, particularly to parishes in the western belt of the island. Speaking on Nationwide this morning on Wednesday, Mayor Belnavis highlighted damage to critical infrastructure.
The entire North Coast stretch was impassable. Light poles are down, trees across, hotels are in disarray. I went by a principal last night, and it was quite a disaster there. Some of the roofs have caved in. Gas were broken. They were sweeping out water. The tourists were corralled into certain areas, and they were trying to get individuals to the hospital. The hospital had issues too. There were several roofs caved in into the dietary. One entire ward had to be closed. Now the municipal corporation, the CEO's office was devastated. We lost part of our roof there. It's quite a war event right now in St. Anne.
Mayor Belnavis says some areas severely impacted by flooding and landslides.
The roads are relatively clear, one lane. Even the North Coast Highway you can move through, which is important for a lot of people right now. You can move through east-west. I did it myself last night, from Discovery Bay all the way down to White River. Clear, at least one lane. Going up into the district, we're getting the results right now of the report as to where we are into those various districts. But we are told that in certain areas, flooding and land slippeage is the order of the day. So we will have our challenges for the next couple of days.
That's Michael Belnavis, Mayor of St. Anne's Bay.
The British royal family has expressed sadness at the damage across Jamaica and the Caribbean in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The Category 5 storm formed over the Caribbean last week Tuesday and has torn a path of destruction across multiple countries. It hit Jamaica's western end on Tuesday before heading to Cuba, the Bahamas, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. King Charles says the record-breaking storm reminds us of increasingly urgent need to restore the balance and harmony of nature.
Meanwhile, the United Kingdom is mobilizing over $500 million Jamaican dollars in emergency humanitarian funding to support Hurricane Melissa recovery efforts in the Caribbean. The funding will support a rapid humanitarian response, including the delivery of emergency supplies such as shelter kits, water filters, and blankets. In a release Wednesday, the British High Commission says supplies are already in Antigua to be deployed to areas where they are most needed.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Trinidad and Tobago says it will forge new alliances with countries outside the Caribbean community, CARICOM. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Becesser says Port of Spain will pursue a significant realignment of its foreign policy and will seek to increase cooperation in trade, investment and security with new partners around the world. It's the latest in a build-up of tensions in the region amid increasing military action by the United States in the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. has been striking ships primarily off the coast of Venezuela, which it claims are involved in narco-trafficking. It has provided no evidence of the allegations. Trinidad has supported the strikes and did not endorse a CARICOM statement reaffirming the Caribbean as a zone of peace. On Monday, Persad-Becesser declared that CARICOM was no longer a reliable partner. Also on Monday, Venezuela cancelled an energy agreement with Port of Spain. Then on Tuesday, Venezuela declared the TNT-PM persona non grata.
U.S. President Donald Trump is set to meet face-to-face with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Thursday. The meeting is set to take place in South Korea. The meeting comes amid Trump's aggressive use of tariffs since returning to the White House for a second term. China's retaliatory export limits has given the meeting newfound urgency. Trump has threatened to impose an additional 100% import tax on Chinese goods. Meanwhile, China has threatened to apply export controls on rare earth minerals. Analysts say the meeting is a chance for the leaders of the world's two large economies to stabilize relations after months of turmoil over trade issues.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Hurricane Melissa blamed for 9 deaths across the island.
Prime Minister Holness says 90% of the houses in Black River and St. Elizabeth have sustained damage as a result of the hurricane.
Black River is what you would describe as ground zero. But the recovery is not beyond us. It's not beyond the government. It's not beyond the people. And we will get it done.
Patients at Black River Hospital to be relocated to health facilities in Mandeville.
Norman Manley International Airport to reopen for commercial operations on Thursday.
I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Three-time champion trainer Anthony Baba Nunes says his stable at Caymanas Park was not spared the wrath of Hurricane Melissa. Nunes uploaded a video on his YouTube platform on Wednesday revealing the damage that was done to his barn as Melissa pummeled the country on Tuesday, leaving a destructive path at Caymanas Park in St. Catherine. An emotional Nunes tried to explain that the Category 5 hurricane caused serious damage to areas of Caymanas Park, and it will be some time before they get back to normal.
Guys, I know that we have to be grateful, but my God, A lot of Caymanas Park is unscathed, but we certainly didn't avoid it.
Nunes added that there's still horses trapped in their stalls yet to be removed due to the impassable path that are leading to their stables.
I'm in absolute shock right now. We haven't even been able to get seems like the horses are right, but we haven't, some of them we can't even take out of their stalls. I'll give you guys an update whenever I can.
That's former three-time champion at Caymanas Park champion trainer Anthony Baba Nunes. Some news now on cricket. West Indies white ball captain Shai Hope has credited the bowlers with turning around the fortunes of the team in the second T20 international against Bangladesh in Chattogram on Wednesday. The West Indies won the game by 14 runs and in the process took a winning 2-0 lead in the three-match series, with the final game to come on Friday at the same venue. Hope, 55, and Alec Athanaze, 53, put on 105 for the second wicket, as the West Indies were steered to 149 for 9 in their 20 overs. Mustafizur Rahman grabbed the 3 for 31. In reply, Bangladesh, they were restricted to 135 for 8 in their allotted 20 overs. Tazi Dassan made 61. He provided the only resistance to the West Indies bowlers, including man of the match, Romario Shepherd, who backed 3 for 29, and Akil Hussain, he picked up 3 for 22. Hope says given the start, the West Indies really should have gotten more runs on the board, but he was happy that the bowlers came out and did their part.
When we spoke at the halfway stage, we mentioned between 190 and sometimes even 220. So we fell away a bit in the back end, but credit again must go to the bowlers for the fight that they showed to give us that win in the back end. So very happy with the guys to pull this game around.
And Shai Hope says the victory today will be an inspiration to the dressing room going forward.
It's certainly going to uplift the moods in the dressing room. We always talk about coming here and doing well in these conditions, so it's great to see the guys turn around, especially from the ODI series loss. And yeah, something to take forward with us. Let's try to make it 3-0 if we can and go into New Zealand on a high.
Yeah, that's the West Indies white ball captain Shai Hope. As I mentioned, the third and final game will be played on Friday, also in Chattogram, and it's set to start at 7 o'clock in the morning, Jamaica time. Still with cricket, South Africa's captain Laura Woolvart slammed the tournament best 169 to propel her team to a stunning 125-run victory over England, a huge victory over the English in Guwahati on Wednesday, and into the final of the ICC Women's One Day International World Cup. The brilliant Marizanne Kapp also played a huge role. She was good with bat and ball as the team from South Africa went into their maiden World Cup final.
Crunch, she just leant on that, edged, all power. She's really thrashed her hands through that too. Again, it's the line. That is an area of strength for Tasman Brooks. Enough of it and over the top. How long have you been waiting for that, Nurse?
It's been a captain's knock, led from the front from the very first ball. Pushing for the second one. She is going to run hard as she can. It's an inspiring 100 from the South Africa captain, Laura Woolvart.
Woolvart's knock helped South Africa to post a 319 for 7 in their 50 overs. Tasmet's Brit weighed in with 45 and Kapp made 42 against Sophie Ecclestone, who grabbed 4 for 44. England's response got off to a really shaky start. They lost their first 3 wickets with just a run on the board. They never recovered and were eventually dismissed for 194 in 43 overs. Kapp grabbed the 5 for 30 from 7 overs.
It's a wicket that they wanted. Marizanne Kapp comes back into the spell and gives them the wicket they needed the most. It's the England captain who has to walk back, and she's disappointed.
Yeah, and the second semi-final will be played on Thursday morning. It starts at 4:30 Jamaica time. And guess what? It's India, the host country, against the defending champion. What a cracking semi-final in the offing for tomorrow. English Premier League leaders Arsenal, they're through to the next round of the AFL Cup. Today they beat Brighton and Hove Albion by 2-0 at the Emirates to get into the next round. Ethan Nwaneri and Bukayo Sako got the goals for Arsenal, both of them coming in the second half. Also making progress, Manchester City, they stopped Swansea by 3-1. Chelsea outscored Wolverhampton Wanderers by 4-3. Newcastle United, they knocked out Tottenham Hotspur by 2-0. And Crystal Palace, they crushed Liverpool. They knocked Liverpool, the league champions, out of the EFL Cup. They spanked them by 3-0. Ismail Sarr got 2 of those goals for Crystal Palace. And finally in sports at this time, Brazil's Real Madrid winger Vinicius Jr. has issued an apology to local fans for his behavior after being substituted in Sunday's heated El Clasico de FC Barcelona over at the Santiago Bernabeu. Vinicius was pulled in minute 72 for a fellow Brazilian Rodrigo by coach Japi Alonso of course, after a verbal clash with members of the coaching staff. The 25-year-old Vinicius Jr. went straight to the locker room before coming back on the bench a little later on.
You might be able to tell there that Vinicius is being replaced. Not happy with the decision. Demonstrating with the bench. He was playing well.
He's been correct that, he's been brilliant today.
Yeah.
But he has to accept the decision.
And so Vinicius took to his social media platform X today and posted the following message. Today I want to apologize to all the Madridistas, thus of course those who support Real Madrid, for my reaction when I was substituted in Clasico. Sometimes passion gets the better of me because I always want to win and to help my team. Real Madrid went on to win the fixture by 2-1. Goals coming from the French international captain Kylian Mbappe and the England international Jude Bellingham. At sports, we're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Dear Jamaica, we've just experienced Hurricane Melissa, and we at JPS hope that you're safe and well. Though we as a people may be shaken, we are resilient. As we look to recover, we remind you that our next step after receiving the all clear from ODPEM is to assess the damage. We have to check our power plants and power delivery network because we need them to serve you. We will do this as safely and quickly as we can, and we'll keep you posted. JPS, powering what matters.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPSOnline, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting.
It's the much talked about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover story aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honeybee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brainbusters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
This is a public service announcement from Massey Distribution Jamaica. Massey Distribution Jamaica is inviting all staff and contractors who are able to do so safely to return to work tomorrow, Thursday, October 30, 2025 at 8 a.m. The company acknowledges that Hurricane Melissa passed less than 24 hours ago, and many individuals may still be coping with its impact, be it physically, emotionally, or otherwise. However, those who are unable to attend are encouraged to contact their supervisor or manager and share any support they may need. Massey Distribution remains committed to the well-being of its team and to doing its part to support customers and communities, especially those in urgent need of supplies and care. And to our fellow Jamaicans, picking up the pieces after Hurricane Melissa, your strength is seen, your resilience is honored, and you are not alone. Together we will rise, and this is a message from Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited. Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is 5:37, time for the cover story. I am Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. How are you this afternoon, Siobhan?
Coping with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, as is everyone here in Jamaica. And that is the focus today, the aftermath of the hurricane, where unfortunately 9 people have lost their lives in relation to the passage of the storm. 5 of the deaths were recorded in the parish of St. Elizabeth. Head of the police division, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, told our news center.
2 reports came in out of the Gallen Bay area, which is just about 2 miles west of the Black River capital. And then inside of Black River town center, we have 2 bodies of 2 males. One along Crane Road that was washed up, and another body in the vicinity of a pump house.
That's Superintendent Coleridge Minto. He says 3 men and 1 woman are among the dead. 2 of the men have been identified as 35-year-old Davion Johnson and 57-year-old Glenroy Johnson. Mr. Minter says preliminary information suggests that the 35-year-old was drowned, and the 57-year-old may have suffered a heart attack. The police say 2 bodies were found at Galleon Beach.
The bodies were believed to have washed up as waters began to recede from the storm surge and flooding produced by Hurricane Melissa. One of the deceased from Galleon Beach has been identified as 57-year-old Darlene Bambridge. The body of a male was later found on Forest Mountain in the parish. A wall reportedly fell on him Tuesday evening. Meanwhile, 3 people died in hurricane-related incidents in the build-up to the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
2 were crushed by trees and 1 was electrocuted before the hurricane made landfall. Superintendent Minto cautions that more bodies could be discovered as police continue to post the post-hurricane search. And in the meantime, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says about 90% of houses in Black River, St. Elizabeth have sustained infrastructural damage as a result of Hurricane Melissa. He made the disclosure on Wednesday while on a tour in the area, and the tour was to assess the extent of the devastation.
All right, so I'm going to ask Member of Parliament Floyd Green to give his assessment of the damage.
So clearly we've suffered a devastating blow here in southwest St. Elizabeth, especially with the town of Black River. I would say over 90% of the houses have suffered infrastructural damage. The entire town has been almost completely wiped out by Hurricane Melissa, especially a number of our historic buildings. Access into the capital is non-existent at the moment because of a number of down power lines and trees. This is also the case in a number of our communities in and around Black River, communities like Treasure Beach, Big Woods, Mountainside, Barbary Hall, all the way over to Five Spend, Middle Quarters, Lancewood. There's a lack of connectivity, lack of electricity, and significant infrastructure damage. So thankfully the PM and the team are on the ground to coordinate the relief and recovery efforts, and we know it will take some time. So I want to say to everybody, just rest assured that we will do our utmost to get to you as quickly as possible.
Thank you, Minister. SSP.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We have been here with the Mayor as part of the Parish Command team. Currently, sir, we have 4 reports of deaths. 2 bodies were found this morning floating in the Black River area, and the other 2 bodies in the Gallant Beach area. We are continuing to support the recovery efforts and to ensure the safety as best as possible, particularly ensuring that the major corridors are clear. And so the JCF is providing that support to the various stakeholders, the JPS, the utility persons, the telecommunications persons, to ensure their safety as they go through to ensure that this area is restored as soon as possible.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, at this current point, we were devastated, and one of the serious concerns that we are experiencing now, our relief supplies would have been totally wiped out. The container that we had stored with supplies to help out now would have been totally gone. Our building structure, which would have been hosting a lot of supplies, totally wiped out. So at this point in time, we're appealing for some relief supplies to assist. We would have had up to 16 feet of water at our command center during the passage of Melissa. As a result, all our vehicles are immobile. So at this current time, it's unable for us to respond. JCF would have been facing the same challenges just as us at the command center. Even at the hospital, the ambulance system transportation is totally down. So at this point in time, we are in need of some mobility so that we can do proper assessment. The next phase that we are going to be moving into is to activate our humanitarian committee so that we can do a proper assessment. But as you can appreciate, it will be very difficult considering the roadways that are impassable at this time. But nonetheless, we would have activated our system where we had contractors on standby, and I'm happy to report that so far 3 backhoes and trucks would have been here trying to assist with the clearing of some of these roads. JPS with CEO Grant would have reached out to me earlier this morning. The team is responding well. They would have reached out to find out where are the critical areas. So they are all deployed. We are focusing on the critical services. Just letting everybody know, all the critical agencies in Black River, they are totally destroyed. So we crave for patience. We are all one, and at this point in time, we are going to do our best to respond positively. But I say we crave for your patience and understanding at this point in time.
I flew over the south coast of St. Elizabeth into Black River, and from Treasure Beach to this point, we could easily say that between 80 to 90% of roofs have been destroyed. A significant number of buildings were damaged. On the ground, the impact is even more palpable. Right now, we are standing in close proximity to the Black River Hospital, and that has been totally destroyed, along with several other buildings, including historic buildings, churches, courthouse, the parish council, and other all the heritage buildings have been destroyed. The electricity grid of Black River is totally wiped out. Telecommunications, we have seen one tower damaged. We are not certain if the other one is operable. So the entire infrastructure and everything needed for the convenience of modern living is destroyed here in Black River. The people are still coming to grips with the destruction, but from what I've seen and the interaction, the people here are strong, resilient, and positive in outlook. The government intends to complement that with bringing in the necessary emergency relief. The first line of effort in this regard is to clear the roadways to allow for vehicular traffic, not just to allow people to come in and visit relatives that they can't get in contact with, but to bring in much needed supplies to the supermarkets and other supply centers which are now empty. So once we get that accomplished, then we will start to see on top of that more assistance coming in, including assistance from ODPEM and other relief agencies who I'm certain are already mobilized waiting to come. It is going to be a massive task to rebuild Black River, this historic town. But while it is destroyed, we can vision a future of it rising stronger and better. Because the truth is that many of the buildings were not properly located in the first place. They were in vulnerable areas. We will now take the opportunity to properly reorganize the town and to build back even stronger. So yes, we got a big blow. Black River is what you would describe as ground zero. It took the brunt of it, and the corridor through the south of St. Elizabeth, through Black River, going across the island, going into St. James, that corridor was totally damaged. But the recovery is not beyond us. It's not beyond the government, it's not beyond the people, and we will get it done. So keep the positive outlook, keep hope alive, and we will get through this, and we will rebuild better.
That's Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Before him, Member of Parliament for South West St. Elizabeth Floyd Green, Mayor of Black River Richard Solomon, and SSP for the division Coolidge Minto. Well, listeners, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie will join us.
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:48.
One box, full belly. The Bird Shack Fried Chicken Flex Box has it all. Sandwich, wings, or chicken, wedges or fries, coleslaw plus a drink. Only $1,800. Best value in the streets. Flex Smart.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 28 out west in Montego Bay.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
We also have a public service announcement from the Wisynco Group. This is to inform you that the Wisynco operations and manufacturing staff at the White Marl and Lakes Pen complexes that the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shifts will be working as normal tonight. The usual transportation and canteen arrangements have been confirmed. The Wisynco Group says thank you for your cooperation and please continue to stay safe. We also have another PSA, this time from the J. Ray and Nephew Limited. It says, following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, all JWN sites will reopen for normal business operations on Monday, November 3, 2025. The safety of our JWN family and the communities we serve remains our highest priority. As we reopen our doors, we remain committed to supporting Jamaica's recovery and resilience in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Together, we will rebuild. For any questions or concerns, please monitor our official social media channels at JWN Corporate for additional updates. That was an important message from the J. Ray and Nephew Group.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper total tools. Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slide Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. As I said, it is now time to continue the discussion regarding the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has launched an island-wide cleanup operation dedicated to debris generated by Hurricane Melissa. The monstrous Category 5 storm littered the nation's roads with fallen trees, downed power lines, and uncollected garbage. Executive Director Audley Gordon says the NSWMA has enough manpower and equipment to carry out the activities. Mr. Gordon says the team has also been receiving support from citizens across various parishes. Meanwhile, teams from the National Works Agency and the municipal corporations have also been mobilized to clear blockages and debris from major roadways. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says clearance operations began Tuesday night. And as Jamaica continues to count losses following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, the celebration of life has emerged. Minister McKenzie told the country on Wednesday that 3 babies were born during the passage of the hurricane. McKenzie has cheekily dubbed the children Melissa babies. Minister McKenzie says at least one of the children was delivered under emergency conditions. It's a rare bright spot with 9 fatalities being reported in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The Category 5 storm has also downed trees and decimated infrastructure, potentially causing billions in damage across Jamaica. Well, Minister McKenzie joins us now. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, Siobhan. Listeners, your co-host and Nationwide family. Jamaica. It's good to be alive despite our challenges. Must say that God is good.
That it is. Minister, just to get a quick update from you as to how things stand now in terms of the operations of the shelters as that continues and recovery efforts.
Well, as I said earlier on in the press briefing, that our shelters are still up. We have about 25,000 people in shelters right across the island. We're expecting that we will see more persons leaving to go back home and more persons coming, because in some parishes, persons' homes have been totally destroyed. So the shelters will become a place for them until accommodation is worked out. I can say that early today, the JDF, working with ADPEM and the Ministry of Labour, has been taking care packages into some of the most affected areas. I think over some 500 packages would have been sent out sometime early in the day. So efforts are taking place. We are seeing cleanup activities on the roads. Have you mentioned the efforts by the National Solid Waste Management Authority to undertake the bushing of areas, the cutting down of falling trees? And early today, the Office of Disaster Preparedness gave the go-ahead for all the various entities of government, JPS, the police, the army, everybody, to resume activities. And so because of that, the JPS now have been working now to restore power to areas that were affected. So we can say that there have been some level of activities that has commenced, and that will intensify over the next couple of days. The Prime Minister went on a tour, and I will be having some discussions with the Prime Minister tomorrow, and then we'll be putting in teams now to commence another level of assessment that is going to be required.
Minister, I know that St. Elizabeth, for example, was hit in a very, very strong way, and we heard the mayor earlier indicating that the supplies that they had, the storm had washed away that. Are you able to provide supplies to St. Elizabeth as yet?
Yeah, we are doing that now as I speak. Them and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is working on that, and provisions are being made now to get supplies out to them, and we'll be doing that over the next 2 days. We'll also be looking to get things like igloo and ice and the other necessary things to go into that area. We also are planning to send a substantial amount of water into the area over the next 2 days. So we have commenced those activities, and as I said before, we are on track to start doing that as quickly as possible.
Minister, are you finding, at least as we head west, that there's still some communities that you're having difficulty getting to in terms of the corridors being blocked or otherwise inundated with floodwaters?
Well, there are, because a lot of the road network have been severely compromised. Flooding is still taking place. I mean, the situation in Catronall last night, we could not send the rescue team in there. We had to wait till the water subsided a little before we put certain things in place. So, as I said before, the amount of rainfall that was felt in those areas and the extent of the damage, I mean, 14, 15 feet of water in sections of Montego Bay is a frightening experience. You know, the municipal building, the top 2 floors were severely damaged. You know, the windows was blown out by the pressure of the hurricane. So it is going to take some time, and the work that we are doing now to gradually bring access to communities that we need to access, because in order for us to do a proper and a timely assessment, we have to gain access to those communities for those things to be done. And that is what we're presently working on.
And what about, we heard about the devastation in St. Elizabeth, but I understand places such as Westmoreland and St. James are also not exactly in a very good state. Have you been able to get any information from those parishes?
Well, I've been in touch with the mayor of Montego Bay. We have spoken. I saw a message from the mayor of Falmouth today. I've been trying to raise him from yesterday. Just got his message. I'm not able to raise Mayor Delancey in Westmoreland. But based on what we are gathering on the ground, there have been substantive damage to facilities. I understand the Savlamana Market, courthouse, the municipal building in Hanover. So over the next couple of days, we will try to ensure that these communications, because all sort of communication, the electricity are down in most places, so there is a challenge, but we do know, and we are taking the necessary steps to ensure that we are now in a position to adequately respond in a way that we need to. The unfortunate thing about all of this, Chevron and your host, is that in some communities, the level of damage is of such that it is making life very difficult for persons to traverse those areas. So that is one of the challenges that we have and we are working on as I speak.
And Minister, and based on that, I'm giving you this opportunity. What's your message tonight to those families, to the thousands of Jamaicans now beginning that long process of recovery?
Well, one of the first things I want to say that I had the unfortunate opportunity today to announce the deaths of 4 persons in a release that I put out. This is something that I am hoping that we never have to do, because death is not something that we are comfortable with. What I want to say is that there is a government that is working, a government that understands what the needs are, a government that have already started to put things in place to ensure. What we're going to say to Jamaicans is that, there has to be some level of patience that has to be demonstrated at this time. I know it's difficult to ask people to hold out, but we have to do what is necessary. We are putting steps, the necessary things that needs to be done. The needs list has been presented to our international partners. We are working, we are doing things, we are putting things in place. Municipal cooperation has been given the green light to go ahead and to do the things that they have to do. We are going to ensure that our shelters have the requisite food and everything. But I want to say to Jamaica and urge Jamaicans that during this time, let us use this period to reflect on what has happened and be our brother's keeper. And for those who want to use the occasion to exploit the situation, I beg of them that their actions will be considered worse than what Melissa has done to the country. But as I said before, the government is there, and we are responding to the needs of those who are relying on the state for assistance.
Well said, Minister. So much to discuss and just not enough time. But thank you so much, and all the best with the recovery and relief operations. That's local government minister Desmond McKenzie. The news is upon us, listeners.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. 9 people have lost their lives in relation to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. 5 of the deaths were recorded in St. Elizabeth. Head of the Police Division, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, told our news center.
Out of the Gallen Bay area, which is just about 2 miles west of the Black River capital. And then inside of Black River town center, we have 2 bodies of 2 males. One along Crane Road that was washed up, and another body in the vicinity of a pump house.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division. Meanwhile, 3 people died in hurricane-related incidents in the build-up to the passage of Hurricane Melissa. 2 were crushed by trees and 1 was electrocuted before the hurricane made landfall. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says about 90% of houses in Black River, St. Elizabeth have sustained infrastructural damage as a result of Hurricane Melissa. He made the disclosure on Wednesday while on a tour to assess the extent of the devastation.
I flew over the south coast of St. Elizabeth into Black River, and from Treasure Beach to this point, we could easily say that between 80 to 90% of roofs have been destroyed. A significant number of buildings were damaged. On the ground, the impact is even more palpable. The electricity grid of Black River is totally wiped out. Telecommunications, we have seen one power damage. The entire infrastructure and everything needed for the convenience of modern living is destroyed here in Black River.
Prime Minister Holness says the government and relief agencies will move swiftly to provide assistance once access to roads is restored. He concedes that rebuilding the historic town of Black River will be a major undertaking.
While it is destroyed, we can vision a future of it rising stronger and better, because the truth is that many of the buildings were not properly located in the first place. They were in vulnerable areas. We will now take the opportunity to properly reorganize the town and to build back even stronger. So yes, we got a big blow. Black River is what you would describe as ground zero. It took the brunt of it, and the corridor through the south of St. Elizabeth, through Black River, going across the island, going into St. James, that corridor was totally damaged.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says patients at Black River Hospital in St. Elizabeth will be relocated to health facilities in Mandeville. Dr. Tufton provided the update on Wednesday afternoon during a tour of health facilities negatively impacted by the passage of Hurricane Melissa.
We are now about to depart to the Black River town, where Black River Hospital has about 71 patients that have been cut off essentially on staff. So we're going to check on them. We're making arrangement between JDF, NWA to move patients to Mandeville because of the damages done to that facility. Then from there to Cornwall Regional, where we have some issues also, and then to Falmouth and Noel Home. So we're spending the day moving along that coastline, and also to Sablamar, where most of the damages have been sustained, and there is some evacuation for patients.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health. Norman Manley International Airport is now open for relief flights and will be reopened for commercial operations on Thursday. According to Transport Minister Darrell Vaz, flights resumed at 4 p.m. on Wednesday.
I'm pleased to advise the country that based on my tours of the airports since this morning, which I have now concluded, I can state clearly that firstly, the Norman Manley International Airport and the Ian Fleming International Airport, Boscobel, will be open today at 4 p.m. for relief flights. It will be open tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for commercial operations, which include incoming and outgoing flights.
Minister Vaz says the Sangster International Airport will be opened for relief flights on Thursday.
For Montego Bay, they will tomorrow, Thursday, the 30th of October, at 10 a.m. be open to accommodate relief flights. They are continuing assessment, and we will have a time no later than this afternoon for the reopening for commercial passenger flights, which will be no later than tomorrow, Friday morning, the latest. We will keep you advised and to let you know that the recovery will start once these relief flights come. The devastation is enormous. Words can't describe based on my aerial tour. So we need all hands on deck to recover stronger and to help those in need at this time. God bless Jamaica.
Darrell Vaz, Minister of Transport. The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has launched an island-wide cleanup operation dedicated to debris generated by Hurricane Melissa. Executive Director Audley Gordon says the NSWMA has enough manpower and equipment to carry out cleanup activities.
This is an island-wide program, and it will see us going everywhere, especially in the heavily affected areas. And we will seek to clear the roadway of all the debris that came from Melissa. We have enough personnel, trained power saw men. We have bucket truck that can go up and take down those branches that are hanging high up. We have, enough management personnel as a part of the team. And we are equipped, very equipped, to tackle this debris management exercise. And so far, it's going very, very well.
Mr. Gordon says the team has also been receiving support from citizens across various parishes.
One of the good things about this exercise is that people are stopping, they are offering help, they are carrying water and juices to the men, they are seeking where they're coming out with machetes. People are joining us and helping us as we go along. So what we see here is that there is a level of patriotism that is emerging where people want to see the country get back together as fast as possible. And we will just keep going until the work is accomplished.
Audley Gordon, Executive Director of the NSWMA. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Every school is free of unhealthy, ultra-processed products. You know, those high in salt, fats, and sugar. If only that weren't a dream. The reality is that many children have an unhealthy diet at school, and 23% of them are overweight or obese. This can lead to hypertension, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Let's protect our children's right to health with a policy for schools that prevents unhealthy food marketing and ensures access to nutritious foods. The time is now. Let's implement the National School Nutrition Policy. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Dear Jamaica, we've just experienced Hurricane Melissa, and we at JPS hope that you're safe and well. Though we as a people may be shaken, we are resilient. As we look to recover, we remind you that our next step after receiving the all clear from ODPEM is to assess the damage. We have to check our power plants and power delivery network because we need them to serve you. We will do this as safely and quickly as we can, and we'll keep you posted. JPS, powering what matters.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Three-time champion trainer Anthony Baba Nunes says his stable at Caymanas Park was not spared the wrath of Hurricane Melissa. Nunes uploaded a video on his YouTube platform on Wednesday revealing the damage that was done to his barn as Melissa pummeled the country on Tuesday, leaving a destructive path at Caymanas Park. An emotional Nunes tried to explain that the Category 5 hurricane caused serious damage to areas of Caymanas Park, and it will be some time before they get back to normal.
Guys, I know that we have to be grateful, but my God, a lot of Caymanas Park is unscathed, but we certainly didn't avoid it.
And he says that their horses still trapped in their stalls, yet to be removed due to the impassable pathway that's leading to their stables.
I'm in absolute shock right now. We haven't even been able to get seems like the horses are right, but we haven't, some of them we can't even take out of their stalls. I'll give you guys an update whenever I can.
That's three-time champion trainer at Caymanas Park, Anthony Nunes. Cricket news now. West Indies white ball captain Shai Hope has credited the bowlers with turning around the fortunes of the team in the second T20 International against Bangladesh in Chattogram on Wednesday. The West Indies won the game by 14 runs and in the process took a winning 2-0 lead in the three-match series with one game still to play. Hope, 55, and Alec Athens, 53, put on 105 for the second wicket to steer the West Indies to 149 for 9 in their 50 overs. Mustafik Rahman bagged a 3 for 31. In response, Bangladesh, they were restricted to 135 for 8 from their allotted 20 overs. Taseed Hassan made 61, the only one to to score any useful contribution. Man of the match, Romario Shepherd, bagged the 3 for 29. Akil Hussain picked up 3 for 22. Jason Holder, the former captain, bagged 2 wickets. And Hope says given the start the West Indies got, they should have had more runs. However, he's happy that the bowlers came to the party and did their part.
When we spoke at the halfway stage, we mentioned between 190 and sometimes even 220. So we fell away a bit in the back end, but credit again must go to the bowlers for the fight that they showed to give us that win in the back end. So very happy with the guys to pull this game around.
And Hope says the victory, not just the victory today, but the eventual series victory, would be an inspiration to the dressing room going forward.
It's certainly going to uplift the moods in the dressing room. We always talk about coming here and doing well in these conditions, so it's great to see the guys turn around, especially from the ODI series loss. And yeah, something to take forward with us. Let's try to make it 3-0 if we can and go into New Zealand on a high.
That's West Indies white ball captain Shea Hope, and as we mentioned, the third and final game will be played on Friday at the same venue. And still with news on cricket, South Africa's captain Laura Vulvaert slammed the tournament best 169 to propel her team to a stunning 125-run victory over England in Guwahati on Wednesday and to steer the South Africans into the final of the ICC Women's World Cup. The brilliant Majzam Kapp also played a huge role. She was brilliant with bat and ball as the Proteas surged into their maiden World Cup final.
Crunch, she just leant on that, edged, all power. She's really thrashed her hands through that too. Again, it's the line. That is an area of strength for Tasman Brits. Enough of it and over the top. How long have you been waiting for that, Ness?
It's been a captain's knock, led from the front from the very first ball. Pushing for the second one. She is going to run hard as she can. It's an inspiring 100 from the South Africa captain Laura Vulvaert.
And Vulvaert's knock helped the South Africans to 319 for 7 in their 50 overs. Tasman Brits weighed in with 45 and Kapp 42 against Sophie Ecclestone, who bagged 4 for 44. England's response started out disastrously. They lost their first 3 wickets with just 1 run on the board. They just simply never recovered and were eventually dismissed for 194. This came inside 43 overs. Kapp grabbed 5 for 30 from 7 overs.
It's a wicket that they wanted. Marizanne Kapp comes back into the spell and gives them the wicket they needed the most. It's the England captain who has to walk back, and she's disappointed.
Brilliant performance with the bat and ball by Marizanne Kapp. Of course, the second semi-final is on tomorrow morning, and it starts at 4:30 Jamaica time. Massive, a cracking game it should be. India against Australia, the hosts against the defending champions. Always a massive mouth-watering prospect. Some football news now. Leaders of the English Premier League, Arsenal, they're through to the next round of the AFL Cup in England. Today they beat Brighton and Hove Albion by 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium. The youngster Ethan Waneri and Bukayo Saka got second half goals for Arsenal to take them into the next round. Also making progress, it was Manchester City. They stopped Swansea City by 2-0. In fact, they won 3-1. Chelsea outscored Wolverhampton Wanderers by 4-3. Newcastle United, they knocked out Tottenham Hotspur by 2-0. And Liverpool, the league champions, they're out as well. They were beaten by 3-0 by Crystal Palace. Ismail Sarr got a double for the Eagles. And Real Madrid's Brazilian winger, Vinicius Jr., has issued an apology to local fans for his reaction after being substituted in Sunday's El Clasico against FC Barcelona at the Santiago de Bernabéu Stadium in Madrid. Vinicius was pulled in minute 72 by the coach, Jabi Alonso, for his fellow Brazilian Rodrigo. And after verbal clashes with members of the coaching staff, the 25-year-old Vinicius went down into the tunnel and in fact to the dressing room. Then he came back after and it was a particular scene. Now, he took to his social media platform X today and he posted the following message. Today I want to apologize to all Madridistas, meaning the fans of Real Madrid, for my reaction when I was substituted in the Clásico. Sometimes passion gets the better of me, but all I want to do is to win and to help my team. Of course, Real Madrid went on to win the game by 2-1, goals coming from the French international captain Kylian Mbappe and the England international Jude Bellingham. Boxing legends Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao are set to return to the ring in 2026 for a highly anticipated fight, which is being organized by streaming giant Netflix. The previous encounter between the two in 2015, Mayweather came away the winner via unanimous decision, a result the Filipino Pacquiao is still disputing. Up to this very day, Mayweather ended his professional career with an undefeated record of 50-0, while Pacquiao closed off his career with a record of 62 wins, 8 defeats, and 2 results by draw. 72 fights in total for the brilliant Filipino. And finally, in sports at this time, it took overtime to separate the Philadelphia 76ers and the Washington Wizards in Tuesday's NBA action. In the end, Philadelphia won a hard-fought contest, 139-134. Tyrese Maxey scored for a game-high 39 points. Teammate Joel Embiid, who decided to play for Cameroon as opposed to France, where he also is qualified. He's playing on the 20 minutes restriction, scored 25 points in 23 minutes to make it 4 wins.
Maxey wanting Edgecombe to come up and potentially set the screen for him. Here he is working on George. Long 2. Maxey. You see CJ coming out. Hard screen set by Bona. Maxey on the baseline. That layup is good. Maxey will take it into backcourt. Maxey gets downhill. Slams it home.
And that will do it for sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21. This is a public service announcement by Kingston Wharves Limited. Kingston Wharves advises that it will resume normal operations tomorrow, Thursday, October 30. Employees should return to work starting with the 7 a.m. shift. We urge employees to proceed with extreme caution as they make their way to work. Our thoughts and prayers are with our team and the wider Jamaica affected by the hurricane. That was a public service announcement by Kingston Wharves Limited. Jets Limited, operator of the multi-link debit network, wishes to advise the public that its service has been fully restored following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Customers of all member institutions are now able to use the multi-link cross-bank service for ABMs or point-of-sale terminals where power supply or infrastructure allows. Jet Limited extends sympathy to all negatively affected by this unprecedented hurricane. We are resilient and together we'll rebuild our beloved Jamaica. That's a public service announcement from Jets Limited.
Need to make a change to your title or need a title? Geoland Title Limited is the place to be. They do lost title application, add and remove names from titles, wills, estates, first-time registration, land surveys included, affordable rates and flexible payment options, National Land Agency adjudication and land titling waivers available. They have 8 locations island-wide. Call 876-754-6436 or visit their website at geolandonline.com. Geoland Title Limited. Secure your land, secure your title.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Bulletins after dark with Kareem Bulletins each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Bulletins after dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Bulletins after dark.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Gleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special one to our friends over there on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. So, Hurricane Melissa has come and gone, thankfully. She gone, leaving behind damage, unfortunately. Deaths, lessons, and questions about how were we ready? Or were we ready? Or were we ready anytime? Were we really ready? So today on Public Opinion, we're asking, how would you rate the country's preparation for Hurricane Melissa? That's the Public Opinion. And I'm going to go on over to our Facebook platform right away, where Philip Jackson's saying to us that he doesn't know who can be prepared for the first time ever in history for a Category 5 hurricane. Not stage 5, as Mr. Trump says, but one thing I know, the communication effort by government was super and goes above and beyond. He that have an ear, let them hear, he says. Donna is saying no one could prepare for a Category 5 hurricane effectively. Shalamar Jones, no country could have fully prepared for a Category 5 hurricane. A better approach would have been to ask, how prepared do you think our country is to address and repair all of this structural damage? Michelle Bernard is saying the government and its agencies tried. They did as much as they possibly could to keep the citizens safe. No country can ever be prepared fully for any disasters. George Elliott, top marks. He's giving the government top marks. Yeah, for the communication, especially. No one should have been caught off guard or without proper preparations. Karen is saying that she's from Austria and she has many friends in Jamaica. And she's saying, of course, I was constantly watching and listening to the news, but I have to give it to your Prime Minister a huge compliment. He really did everything in his power around the clock to keep his people in the countryside informed. He also made an effort to think ahead and take precautions. He's already on the ground to see the situation for himself. He talks to his people and listens carefully. Ivy is saying something in need of... Okay, wow, check-in, families losing their minds, not knowing. She's saying that families are losing their minds, not knowing that their families our relatives are alive. There is still time for a respected entity to be created for this, she says. If I can be critical from the outside looking in, the interactive shelter map showed almost all shelters closed, she's saying. They never opened for days, never opened. A few are showing open now. I saw reports saying that the turnout at shelters were low. And she's saying the next storm, hopefully these things will be fixed. I'm not certain about the shelter aspect to it. Nicola is saying the emergency management initiative was superb. And Robert Ranger is giving the country's preparation for Hurricane Melissa a 10 out of 10. That's the question we're putting to you, members of the public. How would you rate the country's preparation for Hurricane Melissa? Monstrous Melissa, Category 5 Melissa. On Instagram, Tonia is saying, I was really impressed by the timeliness of the communication from the office of the Prime Minister. Robert Gregory Lewis says the preparation was very good. According to Glitz by Kays, she's saying 0 out of 10. The country preparation was not good. I've seen politicians hours before the hurricane calling on the municipality for aid, playing chess with lives and property, cost politics. Preparation efforts were poor, knowing 2 weeks prior to a hurricane that threatened the island. No urgency until last minute. That's according to Glitz by Kays. Let me see. Keys to the City JA saying, not much to talk about, just whole meeting, but I still believe unprepared. That we were unprepared? Okay. Shamar is saying he thinks the government did its best in regards to the preparation for Hurricane Melissa. His only concern was that cleaning of the Sandy Gully Bridge should have been done from July or August instead of waiting until October. Philip Starr is saying, I think government did what it could, but Jamaicans are stubborn. They didn't prepare and they blame the government. So you're saying not much personal preparation. However, some are blaming the government. Okay. Clean Skin Bully. What a name. Clean Skin Bully is saying, we never prepare till last minute. And at times the onus is on us to prepare. You can't wait till last minute and then playing a blame game. All right, let's see. Who you brother? Some people have some name on social media. See, who you brother is saying they did what they could. They kept the country and the diaspora informed and updated with the happenings. To the public opinion question once more for our YouTubers. How would you rate the country's preparation for Hurricane Melissa? I'll go, yes, to our YouTubers. Let me see. The preparation was a 10 for eView. Let me see. Oshoy Powell is saying the team members of the communication task force, they were spot on. I saw a comment earlier on social media that Evan Thompson should get an award, a national award. Yeah, he was spot on. Predictions and everything from the Met Office, everything was accurate. I saw a comment and I smiled to myself. Let me see. Reggae-matic is saying leave it up to the City Planning Committee of Architect to build and prepare. Let me see. 100% says Ian. Jamaicans are difficult to govern. The government did very well. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 coming from Maxine. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Government help those who help themselves, says political analyst. 10 out of 10. Excellent. Juliet Sanchez saying excellent leadership. Let me see. Vivacious is saying the Prime Minister's communication ahead of the hurricane was superb, clear, timely, and reassuring. A solid 10 out of 10 for leadership and transparency. I want to say a big up to our very own Mahiri Stewart, because Mahiri Stewart camped out at Oddpem, Mahiri Stewart for about 3 days or so. All the press conferences that you've heard, all the stories coming out, or most of the stories coming out of the press conferences regarding Hurricane Melissa, Mahiri Stewart camped out at Oddpem. Yeah. Delroy saying, I give the government 10 out of 10. Evan deserves an Emmy, says John Brown. The government was top tier. 10 out of 10, Betsy says. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Sharon, me tired for tell you this, Sharon say, when it is that the comments are coming in, you have to bear with me because a whole heap of comments coming in. Just don't come at me, love. Don't come at me. Queen is saying communication was excellent, open, and transparent. Gladys Brown, 9 out of 10. Their response, communication was good from the government team. Some people was like the 10 virgin, 5 were wise, 5 foolish. I get that. Competent is saying, I agree with you on the role of the municipal authorities and town and country planning. Less concrete, more environmental friendly buildings. No wood homes, zinc roofs, no wooden structures. No board structures. That's what you're saying. Government really work, may I tell you. That's coming from eView. Paradise Plumber Laugh. 2 weeks before. Yeah. All right, getting the wrap-up signal, guys. Thank you so much. I hope your relatives are safe. I hope you are safe wherever you are. And I hope that the damage, the extent to you and your family was minimal. Yeah? The business report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. This is a public service announcement. Massey Distribution Jamaica is inviting all staff and contractors who are able to do so to safely return to work tomorrow, Thursday, October 30, 2025 at 8 a.m. The company acknowledges that Hurricane Melissa passed less than 24 hours ago, and many individuals may still be coping with its impact, be it physically, emotionally, or otherwise. However, those who are unable to attend are encouraged to contact their supervisor or manager and share any support they may need. Massey Distribution remains committed to the well-being of its team and to doing its part to support customers and communities, especially those in urgent need of supplies and care. And to our fellow Jamaicans picking up the pieces after Hurricane Melissa, your strength is seen, your resilience is honored, and you are not alone. Together, we will rise. This is a message from Massey Distribution Limited. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The Bank of Jamaica BOJ says its building in Kingston suffered minor impacts as a result of the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Now, as a result, the location will remain closed while cleanup operations take place. The bank will reopen to the public on Friday, October 31, 2025. The BOJ says it will continue to provide timely updates regarding its operations through its communication channels, namely its website and social media pages. The U.S. Federal Reserve pushed forward with an interest rate cut as inflation fears continue to take a backseat to concerns about a stalling labor market. It came despite the U.S. government shutdown nearing its one-month mark, which delayed official data and left central bankers flying blind about the job market. The U.S. Central Bank said on Wednesday it was lowering the target for its key lending rate by 25 percentage points, putting it in a range of 3.75% to 4%. The Fed last month cut interest rates for the first time since last December. Economists expected the move to jumpstart further reductions, but the data drought means the trajectory for future cuts looks murky. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
This is a public service announcement. Massey Distribution Jamaica is inviting all staff and contractors who are able to do so to safely return to work tomorrow, Thursday, October 30, 2025 at 8 a.m. The company acknowledges that Hurricane Melissa passed less than 24 hours ago, and many individuals may still be coping with its impact, be it physically, emotionally, or otherwise. However, those who are unable to attend are encouraged to contact their supervisor or manager and share any support they may need. Massey Distribution remains committed to the well-being of its team and to doing its part to support customers and communities, especially those in urgent need of supplies and care. And to our fellow Jamaicans picking up the pieces after Hurricane Melissa, your strength is seen, your resilience is honored, and you are not alone. Together, we will rise. This is a message from Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited.
My Mega With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
This is a public service announcement from JET. JET, Limited, operators of Multilink Debit Network, wishes to advise the public that its service has been fully restored following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Customers of all member institutions are now able to use the Multilink cross-bank service for ABMs or point-of-sale terminals where power supply or infrastructure allows. JETS Limited extends sympathy to all negatively affected by this unprecedented hurricane. We are resilient, and together we will rebuild our beloved Jamaica. That was a public service announcement from JETS Limited. Kingston Wharf's advises that it will resume normal operations tomorrow, Thursday, October 30. Employees should return to work starting with the 7 a.m. shift. We urge employees to proceed with extreme caution as they make their way back to work. Our thoughts and prayers are with our team members and the wider Jamaica affected by Hurricane Melissa. And that was a public service announcement from Kingston Wharfs Limited.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Homeowners Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It is now time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Well, listeners, the passage of Hurricane Melissa has triggered Jamaica's $25 billion catastrophic bond. This paves the way for a full payout to the country under the bond's parametric insurance mechanism. The bond, issued in 2024 with support from the World Bank, provides rapid funding when specific storm parameters are met.
A payout from the bond is based on the location and intensity of the storm. Current modeling suggests that Hurricane Melissa has met the required threshold for a full payout. Melissa made landfall in New Hope, Westmoreland on Tuesday morning as a Category 5 hurricane, bringing winds of more than 185 miles an hour. The gusts were higher, hitting more than 200 miles. Melissa's ferocity took roofs, downed poles, and dumped torrents of rain on the island.
While sections of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland suffered extensive damage, the catastrophic bond was designed to deliver funds within days of qualifying event. If confirmed, the payout will provide Jamaica with a fast, prearranged monetary injection, bypassing the delays typically of traditional insurance claims.
This should afford the government quick funds to respond to the aftermath of what is perhaps the most devastating storm to hit the island. And now to discuss further, we will be joined by economist Keenan Faulkner. Good evening, Sir Faulkner.
Hello, Shavana. Hi, Sanjay. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
So for those listening, Keenan, just an explanation as to what is this catastrophe bond? What is the understanding behind it, and how does it benefit the country at this time?
Right. So a catastrophe bond differs from traditional indemnity insurance. A catastrophe bond is really a form of parametric insurance. So as the name might suggest, it is supposed to meet certain parameters, and in this case, those parameters are related to the atmospheric pressure of the system, as well as the location which it must pass through in order for it to be triggered. So when you have a parametric insurance instrument like that, with Melissa, the pressure was, I believe, somewhere in the region of 892 millibars. Now, that pressure was so low that it was lower than the lowest threshold needed to activate the instrument. So there is no doubt that it would have been triggered wherever it passed, as long as it passed within one of the 19 grids that would have overlaid Jamaica, it would have been activated. So under traditional indemnity insurance, you have your claims adjusters who go out into the field and they have to tally up all of the losses, and that could take a very long time. In this context, that is something that could take, just thinking about paying out the claim for that could take up to 2 years. This instrument is intended, as was said earlier, for the payout to be within days or at best maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So that is supposed to cover the relief and emergency aspect of disaster risk financing. Now, the 24 billion, 25 billion is not supposed to, it's not supposed to cover the full cost of reconstruction, or, when you think about that going into the future. There are effectively 3 time horizons for disaster risk financing, and that's immediate relief, recovery, and then longer-term reconstruction. The drawdown that we are expected to receive is meant now to help with the immediate relief.
And how significant is the payout when compared to, and I know it's very early days, but when compared to the overall economic losses Jamaica is expected to face from Hurricane Melissa?
Well, the losses, I think, are quite substantial, in relation to at least what we are expected to receive and what we are now able to cover in the immediate period. Because, just thinking about, for example, Hurricane Gilbert caused $7 billion in damages, and you're looking at potentially, twice as much as that, which is basically all of Jamaica's GDP. So that, clearly means that reconstruction has to take place over a longer time frame. When you think about things like Beryl last year, it took us basically a year to recover economically in terms of real value-added output. With Melissa, you're looking at potentially 18 to 24 months at minimum to get back to the output that we would have had prior to Melissa. So, there's no real discounting the economic impact. Our disaster risk instruments and the financing mechanisms that we have for disasters and natural hazards are really intended to provide immediate relief, because if we didn't have these in place, then what would have needed to happen is a reprioritization of expenditure in the national budget. And, that is not something that comes about very easily. That comes with its own set of peculiarities. And in an emergency situation, when you need funds right away, that's suboptimal. So it's meant to remove that element of now trying to finance or kickstart recovery.
So, to explain to our listeners, though, because the catastrophe bond, it's not a standard insurance policy where it's just paid out like that. It is essentially an investment instrument that others have to buy into, so to speak.
Right. So, how it operates is that the World Bank arranged it, and they act as an intermediary between Jamaica and global capital market investors. Now, Jamaica pays a premium, at regular intervals, just like any other insurance instrument. And the World Bank collects that from Jamaica, and they would pay it out to those investors if there was no event. And the World Bank simultaneously collects a principal from those investors, and they keep it, and then they are expected to pay it out to us if there is an event. So, in summary, if there is an event, then we get paid. If there is no event, then they get paid. So they have now assumed that risk. But it's a very high-risk instrument because, obviously, if you do have an event, then you will need to pay out the money. And if there was absolutely no chance that Jamaica would have a Category 5 hurricane, then there would be no need for a Cat 1. So even though the chances of a Category 5 hurricane coming are relatively slim compared to, say, a Category 1 or a tropical storm event, the risk is still there. And the Cat 1 is meant to cover that risk, however infinitesimal it might be.
And this bond specifically was set to mature, I believe it was 2027, 2028, around that fiscal period. So is it that in the case, and I just knock on wood again, heaven forbid, that there is another storm of this magnitude between that period, are we not allowed to draw down on this bond again? That's it?
No, we would be, because we have coverage for all hurricane seasons between, when the bond was renewed last year in 2024, and the hurricane seasons for next year and 2027, because it expires in December 2027. So while there was no major events which triggered it between 2021 and 2024, we have full coverage. So any event that triggers it, we are entitled to a payout.
And looking forward, should the government consider expanding the bond or creating other instruments like a resilience fund for future events?
The government could do that, but I think what we have now adequately addresses our risk in terms of natural hazards. So our disaster risk framework is premised along the lines of a matrix which now brings together the frequency and the severity or the impact of the events. So when you have low frequency but high impact events like Melissa, then, you have the instruments at the top. So you have the Cat Bond, you have our CRIF facilities, you have, our contingent credit claim with the Inter-American Development Bank. Whereas for events that have a very high frequency but lesser impact, for example, tropical storms, cyclones, excess rainfall, and those occasional events, then you have other instruments that deal with that. So our regular budgetary allocation, our regular disaster fund, you also have our contingencies fund. So those, for the time being, are sufficient to deal with the risk because it is risk-based. So, you can't really get more dangerous than a Category 5 hurricane. And we are already adequately covered for that in terms of...
Are you still there, Keenan? Keenan? Unfortunately, it looks like we lost Keenan there. We'll try to get him back. But one of the questions I want to ask Keenan is something that I wondered if it will come up in terms of when we might need to renew this bond post 2027 is how attractive will it be in this era where the expectation for major hurricanes and storms of this magnitude are ever increasing. I wonder if it's going to be a difficulty where we can attract people, because these are investors investing in this bond in the hopes that such a major hurricane does not happen. So I wonder to what level the attractiveness of these instruments will be going forward. But we wait to get Keenan back on this matter.
And also, Siobhan, we've seen other Caribbean nations, they have expressed interest in similar disaster funding instruments. It will be interesting to see, the interest now from those bondholders to see if it's something that they would invest in.
And I mean, it has to be said again that this was a very forward-thinking decision made by the Holness administration back in 2024. Dr. Nigel Clarke, then Finance Minister, along with Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And foresight is quite a thing. It shows now in 2025 with Melissa how important that decision was. But we have Keenan back with us. Keenan?
Yes, I'm not sure what point it cut out, but I'm back.
Yeah, so Keenan, I want to ask you, based on the fact that this is an instrument, it's an investment instrument, with the intensity and regularity of such storms increasing, is the attractiveness of such bonds going to diminish as the years go on? Because I can't imagine investors would see this as a very viable option when we have storms happening year upon year.
Well, you'll always have those very high risk appetite investors who are willing to take it on. Otherwise, we would have not found investors for this cat bond. So as the intensity of storms increases and you're going to find a lot of persons will probably still take on those risks, because now it also means that Jamaica will have to pay higher premiums. And when there is not an event, in the very probabilistic, scenario where there is no storm, then they are going to get a higher payout themselves. So you will have persons willing to take on those risks. What I expect is that the opposite of what you said will happen. The cat bond might eventually become more popular. So right. So because that payout now is going to be much higher. We're going to pay more effectively just for that coverage.
And we've seen other Caribbean nations, they have expressed interest in a similar disaster financing instruments. What lessons can the region learn from Jamaica's experience with this bond?
I've heard it being advocated in some circles, definitely, that maybe there should be a Caribbean-wide instrument. So regardless of the individual member state that is affected, then, once you have that instrument, it covers whoever subscribes to it. And I think that would be a good idea. Definitely we all grapple with this sort of vulnerability, and it's not going to go away. So by subscribing to the cat bond, we are effectively taking responsibility for our own vulnerabilities, particularly in this era now where climate change is becoming more severe, and small island developing states are the least responsible in terms of their own actions for what is happening in terms of more severe weather events. So I definitely think that is something that ought to be considered, and the parameters for that sufficiently worked out.
And in the immediacy of this catastrophe bond, now that it has been triggered, and we should expect payouts, as you said, within days to weeks, are there any untoward restrictions on the use of that funding, or is it solely to the discretion of the government?
The funds are completely fungible. So once that gets to the government's treasury, they will decide how best those funds are spent. So there's really no restriction as long as it goes towards relief efforts. But those very specific peculiarities, I guess, will have to be worked out among the technocrats and the political directorate. But as far as I know, the funds are really fungible.
And what's your broader takeaway? Does Hurricane Melissa mark a turning point for how small island states prepare financially for the realities of climate change?
I think it does, because you'll recall that Jamaica is the first country to independently sponsor this cat ban. So even though it has been around for a couple of years, the fact that it has actually been put to use now shows that there is a greater possibility of these storms than we had previously thought. So remember, I said earlier that if we could be absolutely sure that we would never get a Cat 5 hurricane and it would never pass in such great proximity to us, then there wouldn't be a need for it. So there's a place for it. There is a place for its design and implementation, and to now see it actually happening in real time, I think shows that there is a paradigm shift, in terms of disaster risk financing.
That is economist Keenan Faulkner. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for giving us that very useful information in terms of the catastrophe bond, that $25 billion expected payout in days to weeks to assist with the relief efforts following Hurricane Melissa. Thank you for joining us, Keenan.
All right, thanks a lot, Siobhan. Thanks a lot, Sanjay.
All the best. All right, and Siobhan, before we go, we're getting news that the Met Service, they have discontinued the flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas for all parishes effective immediately. So that's the story coming from the Met Service, that they have discontinued the flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas for all parishes effective immediately.
A bit of good news there. Listeners, we take the break and come back with more.
The Pink Run, a corporate wellness challenge, encourages physical activity, healthy eating, and age-appropriate health checks. Remember, early detection saves lives. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It's 7 o'clock, and this is a public service announcement from the J. Ray and Nephew Group. Following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, all JWN sites will reopen for normal business operations on Monday, November 3, 2025. JWN says the safety of its family and the communities they serve remains their highest priority. As it reopens its doors, it remains committed to supporting Jamaica's recovery and resilience in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. The JWN Group says, together we will rebuild stronger. It says, for any questions or concerns, please monitor its official social media channels at JW Corporate for additional updates. That was an important message from the J. Ray and Nephew Group. We also have a PSA from the Wisynco Group, which says this is to inform that Wisynco operations and manufacturing staff at the White Marl and Lakes Pen complexes that the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shifts will be working as normal tonight. The Wisynco Group says the usual transportation and canteen arrangements have been confirmed. It's thanking you for your cooperation, and please continue to stay safe. That's from the Wisynco management team.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
So, welcome back, listeners. We stay on the matter of the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, and the government of Jamaica has issued an all clear for the island following the passage of the storm. It means the immediate threat has passed, and it is generally safe to begin recovery operations. A brief statement from the Office of the Prime Minister says the move is based on advice from the Met Service and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. OPM says utility companies and other critical service entities should now begin service restoration along power, water, and communication networks across the island.
In the meantime, the Jamaica Public Service, the JPS, says damage assessment is now underway across the island. This, it says, will include a detailed check of the damage to the power grid. JPS notes that this will give its team all information needed to restore power in the safest and quickest way possible. Well, joining us now with an update is the Media and Public Relations Manager at JPS, Audrey Williams. Good evening, Audrey.
Hi, good evening, Siobhan and Andre. How are you doing?
Well, how are you this afternoon or this evening?
I am well, I am well, and I'm glad to hear that you are doing well. And I just want to express my sympathy and concern for our fellow Jamaicans who have suffered terrible loss from some of the pictures that I've seen, particularly in Western and Central Jamaica.
Yeah, and tell us now about, and of course that's good to note from the JPS, but now that the all clear has been issued, what's the latest update from the JPS regarding the state of electricity network across the island?
Okay, well, as of this morning, we had over 500,000 customers out of supply, and the majority of those would have been in all of those western parishes. Pretty much, in fact, it's easier to say which parishes had less outages. So parishes like St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine had lower levels of outages, a fair amount of access to electricity. We have started, as you rightly indicated, we started our damage assessment today. And it's fair to say that the network did sustain significant damage in the western and the central portions of the island. Typically, when we do damage assessments, we focus on the power plant because, for obvious reasons, if you don't have the power plant running up properly, eventually that's going to impact our ability to deliver power to the rest of the country. So power plants, first stop, substations, and then other aspects of the power delivery network. Our CEO also himself was involved in viewing what was happening today. He did take an aerial view of what has transpired in sections of the country, and he did describe it as devastating. So we know that there is a significant rebuilding effort ahead of us. Notwithstanding that, even while we are doing assessments, we are in areas where we can also doing some restoration. And those are particularly in the parishes that I mentioned before that may not have had significant damage, which would be St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine. Those are the ones most likely to see some restoration at the same time. So sometimes where you can straddle. After damage assessment, typically we have a protocol, and we follow this line because it does the most good to the most people. So we start with essential services. Sorry, are you hearing an echo?
No, we're hearing you loud and clear. Winsome, continue.
Okay, I'm hearing an echo that is distracting, but okay, no problem. We start with our essential services, so your hospitals, your public water supply, your telecommunications, your airports, and so on. And then from there, we go to our large industrial areas, and that again, for the obvious reason that they are the ones that keep us running, whether it's to the food manufacturing sector and so on. Then next on the line is large communities, large urban centers, large population centers, and then smaller communities, and finally individuals. Now, people might find that while we are getting our essential services up and running, they may benefit from that, because if you live on the way to a hospital, on the main line going to a hospital, then you too will benefit from the restoration of power. So sometimes you will have other communities, other places benefiting. And I'm pointing this out because time and again what we have seen happen is that people might complain and say, so you said you were doing essential services first, But this community is in, and why not my community? They're not an essential service, but they might be on the way to an essential service. So they benefit from the power that's running on the way to that particular service. You understand? We do have to leave individual cases for last because we have to take care of as many people as we can first before getting down to individual situations. And while I'm on that as well, I want to point out another popular situation where a person might say, how is it that somebody just up the road, or sometimes even beside them, has power supply, everybody at the top of the road has power, people at the bottom of the road don't have power. How is this? It doesn't mean that you're not being fed from the same line. So these are some of the things that can happen during restoration.
Sorry, I hear you, Winsome, but I think a lot of Jamaicans...
Audrey.
I'm sorry, your predecessors, I apologize. Audrey Williams, sorry about that.
No,
Audrey,
that's okay. I hear you sound alike.
But I think one of the concerns that came from the Beryl 2024 storm is not necessarily that a lot of Jamaicans had to do without power. It was the uncertainty as to when that power will come back.
Right.
Will you promise the Jamaican people that there will be a relatively smooth bit of communication in terms of time frames, timelines, and when they can have the expectation and make their plans that they should have their electricity back? I understand you're still in the assessment phase, but do you have those procedures now in place?
Well, the last thing we would want to do is promise that you're going to get power by X time. What we can do in creating our schedule, so once we have our assessment complete, what it allows us to do is to create realistic schedules for recovery, right? We don't want to tell you you're getting power tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and goes because now you are disappointed on top of everything else, right? So we want to make some realistic schedules, but we also want to be very careful about promising things that aren't delivered. That's something we are really not into. We do want to give a sense of work taking place. So what I can commit to is telling people when we're going to be working in their area. That we can commit to. And if possible, we can give an expected time of restoration.
Help me to understand, what are some of the early findings about the condition of the grid, for example, in Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth, which were the two hardest hit parishes?
Well, and this is very initial findings. I don't even know if we have people down on the ground yet. I know that we've seen aerially. It has been ridiculous. When I tell you I saw a photo of a steel tower bent over like a piece of foil, I was just dismayed. So I can't even give you like a proper assessment of what the situation is out that side, but I can tell you that there has been significant damage and we're really looking at a rebuilding effort.
Do you know if the entire parish of Westmoreland and the entire parish of St. Elizabeth, are they both out of electricity completely?
Pretty much. They are at about 99% out. So that is almost completely out. You can say they are completely out.
One of the concerns when you speak about essential services is communication. From the few individuals I've been able to contact out in the West, that is their concern. They're not able to talk to the people there. They're not able to talk to the people outside. People are concerned. I don't know to what level you have the priority put on getting the communication channels open where they are reliant on the JPS grid.
Yeah, man. The telecom sector is one of our essential services, and we have a very close dialogue pretty much on a daily basis. So that is definitely a priority. We do understand the importance, and I think we all of us have, in one way or another, somebody out west, and we all want to get in touch with them. We absolutely appreciate that. That is definitely a priority.
Yep, my mom is down there, and I haven't heard from her from 11 a.m. yesterday. So I'm very, very concerned. So Westmoreland is particularly close to me.
I understand.
Yes.
I have family that side as well. Yeah, I have family in Westmoreland.
But let me ask you though, does JPS have significant manpower and resources now on the ground after you've done the assessment, or are you receiving external support from contractors or partner utilities? Because I know that you had brought in some individuals from St. Vincent prior to the storm hitting.
Well, yeah, we do. We definitely have resources. We have 600 boots on the ground. And so we have, one of the things that we did this time around, we looked at some of the areas of significant challenge. We were covering after Beryl, and we made sure that we didn't want to have that experience again this year. So we, as you said rightly, we brought in folks from St. Vincent, from USA, from Canada. We expanded our contractor pool, our local contractor pool. So we are very much ready to do the work. I think, and I sincerely hope, I mean, to be honest with you, though we have more men, we also have more damage, I think, just, from that very brief preliminary view. But I believe that given the focus, the attention, given the increase in human resources, and given the staging of material prior. So staging meaning, the acquiring of material and placing in strategic locations and so on. I do believe that we are in a better position this time around than we were last time. The only thing is that the challenge is actually bigger as well. So that's a fact.
So, Audrey, I'm wondering now, you've accessed, I believe, $5 million from the Electricity Disaster Fund. Do you contemplate that this, unfortunately, I heard that she has dropped. We'll try to get her back as soon as possible to get some more questions answered. But I want to ask her about the Electricity Disaster Fund, that $5 million. I highly doubt it, but I really am curious to hear as to whether they feel this amount will cover restoration and rebuilding efforts from the outset, or do they believe that an additional drawdown will be necessary? But I suppose we'll have to wait till she gets back on. Audrey, I understand you're there.
I'm here. I don't know. I just fell. Yeah.
Well, as we understand, under the circumstances, there are going to be communication challenges. So as I was saying before we got you back, the Electricity Disaster Fund, that $5 million drawdown, what exactly will that be used for in the onset, and do you foresee a further drawdown being necessary?
All right. So the Electricity Disaster Fund serves the purpose of enabling us to carry out restoration. And let me just give you a little background to it, right? We have in Jamaica, as is typical in pretty much a lot of other island states, an open air transmission and distribution system. And what that means for us is that we cannot acquire insurance at a reasonable cost. So what we have to do is almost like self-insurance. Put aside a little money every day. Our grandparents would say, put aside money for a rainy day. It operates in the same way. So we put aside money on an ongoing basis, and it goes into the disaster fund. Now that the disaster has struck, we ask for permission. Can we have X amount, please? And then that now will be used to acquire equipment of all different types. As you may know, roughly 80% of everything that we use in the production of electricity is actually imported. Hence, that's why we're also very sensitive to foreign exchange movements. So this drawdown will be used to help offset the cost of all of the repairs and the rebuilding that will need to take place. As to whether we will need more, well, I can't speculate on that. I really don't know. But just looking at it, it's possible. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But what I am happy about is that the fund is there to be accessed, to use, to put the system back on its feet. And that's one way in which the public benefits from the Electricity Disaster Fund.
sorry, just an addendum to that. So gone are the days when you have special charges added to bills to cover natural disasters.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, was it Iran? I don't remember which one it was. But after the passage of the hurricane, there was a line item on the bill to help cover that. We don't do that anymore. We now, quote unquote, self-insure, so to speak, so that will cover it. I think as we go along and we see what works and what doesn't work as well, we shed methodologies that don't work or serve us as well as we'd like them to, and employ others. And this is not unique to Jamaica, might I add. Other countries who have a similar situation also use one version or another of an electricity disaster fund.
Mm-hmm. And looking ahead, has Hurricane Melissa exposed any vulnerabilities in the power grid that JPS will need to address to strengthen resilience before a next major system hit the country?
Well, I think there's something to be learned every time there is something like this. It's probably too early, really, to tell. We're just barely kicking off in terms of the process of assessment that started today. I think when we go through assessment and restoration and rebuilding, and we do our analysis of what took place, we'll have a better sense of, what some of the weaknesses could be. In much the same way, we did the same thing after Beryl. We looked at the weaknesses in terms of what we did, how we carried out our activities, and we, I do believe, made better choices in terms of certain types of operations and certain internal changes that were made as well. So with each experience, we do learn, and it's important to always build on that. So at the end of it, I think it's a better time for us to speak to changes or weaknesses that we may see. But so far, I think we've really, I think we've done pretty decently by our people when you see what the storm actually did to infrastructure, to houses, to roads. I think I think we have acquitted ourselves fairly decently. It is early days yet, though. As we go along, we can keep on reviewing what comes to us in terms of material and assessment and so on. We continue to analyze the data, and at the end of the day, we can give a more comprehensive and properly reviewed, view of what happened.
Sorry, Audrey, just to ask, that barge that provides LNG to the network, is it back in place? And are the generators now running on LNG, or are we still potentially using other forms of fuel?
All right. So the floating storage unit is back on its way to Jamaica. Now that Hurricane Melissa has cleared our waters, it is on its way back. So once it arrives and we reinstall the necessary infrastructure and connections, we will be back on LNG as a majority fuel.
So that means, unfortunately, right now, the far more expensive fuel is being utilized, and customers should expect some elevation in their light bills.
Well, right now we are using automotive diesel oil, which is a backup fuel. As to the impact, I can't speak to that right now because we are also mindful of, our customers, and therefore I think that is something that we may have to look at very thoroughly to decide on the way forward with that. We know that what goes into producing electricity eventually shows on the bill, because that's how every business operates. If you take an aeroplane, your ticket is going to reflect the cost of flying you to wherever it is you're going. That's just how business works. But we are also mindful of the situation, and perhaps I don't know if there can be any kind of measure to push on, but it is very, very early, very, very early. I'm sure that is something that will be the subject of discussion at a level that is not my level.
Understood. That is Media and Public Relations Manager at the JPS, Audrey Williams. Thank you so much for joining us, Audrey, and all the best with the restoration efforts for both you, the JPS, and the customers who are eagerly awaiting the return of their power.
All right. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a good evening.
Have a good evening, listeners. I think we now move to Floyd Green after this break.
Jamaica's poverty rate has dropped from 16.7% to 8.2%. As the government's economic program begins to pay off, our country is heading towards sustained growth. We are building Jamaica. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is...
It's 7:24. This is a public service announcement from Massey Distribution Jamaica. Massey Distribution Jamaica is inviting all staff and contractors who are able to do so safely to return to work tomorrow, Thursday, October 30, 2025 at 8 a.m. The company acknowledges that Hurricane Melissa passed less than 24 hours ago, and many individuals may still be coping with its impact, be it physically, emotionally, or otherwise. However, those who are unable to attend are encouraged to contact their supervisor or manager and share any support they may need. Massey Distribution remains committed to the well-being of its team and to doing its part to support customers and communities, especially those in urgent need of supplies and care. And to our fellow Jamaicans picking up the pieces after Hurricane Melissa, your strength is seen, your resilience is honored, and you are not alone. Together, we will rise. This is a message from Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. As I said at the top of the hour there, we are now going to turn to the Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth. That's Floyd Green. Good evening, Sir Green. How are you? Oh dear, it seems that we've lost him. Please bear with us, listeners. Minister Green is out there in his constituency in St. Elizabeth, and as said earlier, that parish has been very much devastated, and there are some connectivity issues, so we await getting him back there in the studio. So let me look at some of the YouTube. Minister Green, are you there? No. As I said, Minister? So as I said, we'll try to get the Minister MP back there, but let me see. I see KN6264 saying, every time I think of St. Elizabeth, tears flow from my eyes. I can't imagine what those people are facing. That is true. Based on the images coming out of the Breadbasket Parish, it is quite the devastation. Minister Green, are you there?
Yes, Siobhan.
Okay, Minister, it is good to hear from you. How are you doing, sir? I understand it has been quite the stressful past few days. How are you coping?
It's been quite a day. I think images don't truly capture the level of devastation. Still in the parish now. Got some connectivity thanks to Starlink.
Oh dear. Minister, are you there?
It is extensive, and it's devastating. It's very hard to put into words. The capital of Black River is decimated. The sea, the surge is Main Street, Black River, and some of our historical sites that have been around for past 2 decades are gone, including the Anglican Church, Waterloo Guest House, which was the first place to have electricity. Our functional buildings like the hospital have suffered significant damage. Visited with the Prime Minister today, and I want to really thank the health workers. Most of them have been there 48 hours, and they had to deal with flying debris, things falling apart, trying to keep, patients alive. The Minister of Health visited today, and we were able to make some arrangements to use the JDF to take out 3 babies and 1 person who was in need of urgent medical care. And so the hospital, the tax office, the court, and then when you look, has not been damaged.
Minister Sanjay Lewis here, good afternoon. Let me ask
Yes,
you, are there still areas isolated due to the flooding? I know that the NWA, they're trying to clear the roadways, but I just want to know just generally if all roadways have been cleared.
They are. So today the focus was on the main thoroughfares, as you can imagine, trying to get a road to the hospital, a road to Black River. That work is still ongoing. I would say for people listening who are trying to get to Black River, best route now is to come through Junction, Southfield, turn at Williamsfield, go to Pondside, and then to Black River. It's, however, advisable to use a SUV because there are some areas that the water is still high, and on is a road covered in sand, so you have to be able to maneuver that. We are clearing side, and I know they have cleared to Brampton, and they're now moving from Lowana to Holland Bamboo, while there's a team moving from Lacovia to Middle Quarters.
Minister, are you there? It seems we've lost the minister again. As I said, consider the circumstances. We will try to recontact with him. If you are on YouTube, you'll see many of the images coming from St. Elizabeth. It is not a pretty sight. Buildings torn down, roofs ripped off of their structures. It is quite... I don't know if there's a word that can properly surmise what the people of that parish and in the other areas of Western Jamaica are going through. Minister Green, I understand we are back with you. Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so I was saying that the team is about halfway through Holland Bamboo. So they are trying to work as far into the night as possible to clear. I haven't seen Holland Bamboo yet, but I can only imagine what it's like based on the winds. And the fact that to turn back today because they just couldn't get through.
Yeah.
But I think, thankfully, the PM was on the ground today to see it for himself.
Minister, I want you to put on your hat now in the agricultural part of things. How significant are the losses across the agricultural sector, particularly in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica's food basket?
It's going to be a massive blow for St. Farm where we live. Thankfully, in parts of the Treasure Beach area where we saw a lot of damage was the storm surge on with the rains that were consistent. I know that our farmers are out kind of trying to salvage So we'll have to see how that goes and try to apply their various fungicides to, really turn back the onset of fungal disease. Part of the challenge, especially in that Pedro belt, is that a lot of our road network has been undermined. The completely devastated roads like Round Hill, parts of Treasure Beach to Treasure Beach, Blunters, Newell, Short Hill. So that is going to require some urgent attention. So I know that the farmers have suffered a big blow, and this is not just St. Elizabeth. From preliminary feedback, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, South St. James, Trelaw,
Minister,
wide array of crop lines.
Minister, considering the lines, and I can imagine what kind of day you've had, I don't want to keep you any longer. So just the final question, what in terms of the immediate needs of those on the ground in terms of food, shelter, water, are you assured that those will be taken care of, so ensure that the people have at least some restitute going into tomorrow?
The first thing is clearly water. Water is a critical need. Those things are important. So those are the critical needs. Any assistance in terms of, small generators will go a far way, because at the end of the day, our electricity network is down. It will take some while. We are trying to see how we can help with connectivity in a number of areas. One of the big challenges now are people being able to get their family members, and as such being very concerned. So if you have people who have access to Starlink services and are willing to come down, set up, clearly we need some power, those things will help. But the basic needs are critical right now. As we go on, rebuilding and building material will be, fundamental.
That is Floyd Green. He's the Member of Parliament for Southwestern St. Elizabeth and the country's Minister of Agriculture. Minister, thank you for joining us, and all the best in the restoration efforts.
All the best, Minister.
So we go now to the Watchman listeners, and when we come back, your calls, the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-6730. We have another public service announcement from the Wisynco Group. This is to inform Wisynco operations and manufacturing staff at the White Marl and Lakes Pen complexes that the 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shifts will be working as normal tonight. The usual transportation and canteen arrangements have been confirmed. The Wisynco Group says thank you for your cooperation, and please continue to stay safe.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Jamaica's troubling population growth rate and the wealth of the nation. Results from the embarrassingly delayed and all but forgotten 2022 population and housing census by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, have started to trickle to the public. During its quarterly press briefing held October 15, 2025, Statin released some preliminary numbers which point to a troubling trend in Jamaica's population growth rate. Between the last census in 2011 and the current one, for which data collection started 2022, the population grew marginally, adding 76,555 in head count over the 11-year period to reach 2.8 million people. The Director of Censuses, Demographic and Social Statistics at Statin, Ms. Stacey-Ann Robinson, said the equivalent annual growth rate of 0.24% for the latest census was the lowest over the last 5 decades. An annual population growth rate of between 0.5 and 1.5% is generally considered to be the rate at which a country of Jamaica's size and resources can achieve reasonable economic as well as environmental sustainability. Given the declining birth rate, the increasing death rate, and increasing migration, Jamaica's population growth rate has slipped below replacement level and is, in fact, forecasted to steadily decline over the next 5 years. With median age at about 33 years currently, youth demographic 0 to 14 years shrinking to about 20%, and the elderly population 65 years old plus at 7 to 9% and growing the fastest, it is likely that in the years ahead, Jamaica will experience serious reduction in the working age population from the current 70%. The following gives a measure of the magnitude of the human resource gap facing the country. In a front-page story in its May 8, 2025 edition titled Baby Shortage, the Gleaner reported the manager of the delivery ward at Victoria Jubilee Hospital, the country's largest maternity facility, saying deliveries, which used to average about 500 per month, have declined to around 300 per month. That's a reduction of 40%. The situation is exasperated by Jamaica's low investment in human and social capital, which renders much of the working population employable only in menial, low productivity jobs. Already there are howls coming from some large employers for the government to import better trained, more productive workers, without which the country's goods and services will remain lacking in complexity, low in value added, and uncompetitive, with resulting low standard of living. Jamaica is caught between the proverbial rock and a hard place. Too many mouths to feed. At the same time, there are too few hands and even fewer brains to do wealth-creating work. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. The JPS Customer Care Center, which is technically supported in Western Jamaica, is unavailable due to infrastructural damage. This means customers will not be able to get through on the toll-free line. Customers can, however, make contact with the company via web chat on its website at jpsco.com, on its social media pages at MyJPS Online, and through the MyJPS mobile app. JPS thanks you for your patience and understanding at this time. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Voyagings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Voyagings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We said at the top of the hour, we're taking your calls now. The numbers are 630-937-124, 618-6730. Come chat with us, whatever is on your mind. I want to keep it focused on the hurricane and matters relating to that this evening as best as possible.
And especially those, Chevron, who are unable to locate their loved ones. We want to use the opportunity for them to maybe come on air and give a shout out to their loved ones to see if we can locate them. As I indicated before, I'm still yet to hear from my mom and my grandmother in Westmoreland, but I also know that there's no connectivity down that side, yeah?
Yes, that is a good point. So if you do want to reach out to a relative, a friend, someone who you are not in contact with, please, you can do so through us. Again, the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-6730. Turning to YouTube, I see where some people say that those poor infrastructure in Black River will never survive under a Category 5 hurricane. That's coming from State of the Heart. I don't know if there's any man-made structure really in this country that could reasonably live up to that kind of destructive power. I think calling it a Category 5 hurricane might be an understatement, because with wind speeds reaching almost 185, 190 miles per hour, the only reason it's considered a Category 5 storm is because on the Saffir-Simpson scale there's no higher categorization other than Category 5. But I think a special category must be created for Melissa, well beyond what would be considered a Category 5 storm.
And in Westmoreland also, Siobhan, at my very own Bass School, Mannings, the historic Thomas Manning building, for those who are aware of it, at Manning School in Westmoreland, that was constructed in the early 20th century, is no more. Yeah, the building is totally gone. It's a loss, and it marks the end of a physical link to the institution's 1738 founding legacy. Yeah, it's a historic building down there in Westmoreland. I was horrified when I saw those photos. It's completely flat.
That is an unfortunate loss in terms of culture and history. I understand we have a call. Garcia, good evening.
Good evening. I'm trying to get in contact. I realize that there's no information regarding Trelawney on the news. If Trelawney is not being covered, I was wondering if you guys can get some information. I'm trying to get to my mother in Thompson Town, Trelawney. I realized I got some image saying that they have been breakaway, and so I'm unable to visit. I'm in Kingston, so everything is fine with me.
What's your name?
Shidani Simit.
So Sidney Simit in Thompson Town, Trelawney?
Yes.
Right.
Sidney Smith, Thompson Town, Trelawney. We'll try to get some information for you in terms of what is going on out there in Trelawney. That is true. We'll try to get in contact with the two MPs over there to see what information can be garnered, or the mayor. Thank you for your call. We'll see what can be done.
Question. Can you also find out if the roads are clear? Because I really want to visit, but I'm seeing where some breakaways there.
Okay, understood. So, producers, if you're hearing this, try to reach out to either the MPs in Trelawney, the mayor, or somebody from the works agency in terms of the possibility, in terms of the corridors down to that parish. There is a caller here worried about it was your mother?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Your mother, yes. In terms of her mother, and she wants to see if she can go down to look about those affairs. So thank you for the call, Garcia. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
I see here where there's some people saying they also concerned about Hanover. They've heard no word from the parish of Hanover. So that's true. It's true, we haven't really got that much information in terms of Hanover and Trelawney. We've heard about St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Manchester, those parishes, St. James as well. But the parishes of Hanover and Trelawney, we have not really spoken to in terms of that. So we hope to hear more in terms of information coming from those parishes. I see Sharon Bless here saying, Chevy, can't hear from my family members in Westmoreland too. Well, we got some information from Westmoreland, and as I understand it, they are not faring much better in terms of the impact from Hurricane Melissa as those in St. Elizabeth, but we will try to get some more information before tomorrow's newscast, or at least by tomorrow's newscast, in terms of how things are coping in those areas.
I saw some images coming out of Westmoreland, Siobhan, and it is not looking good at all. The same as you indicated, similar to what happened in St. Elizabeth. We're seeing a lot of roofs, they're gone. Some houses were flooded. So it's not a good look at all in Westmoreland. And as Audrey indicated, quite a number of individuals in the parish there without electricity. And we are also aware that they're without phone services, which is why we're unable to get through to those individuals in Westmoreland. But for those who have connectivity, I gather there is a network down there that some individuals have been using. If you know any of these individuals that people are trying to reach, maybe you can reach out to them and then let us know that relatives and friends they're fine down there in Westmoreland.
I mean, if you're on the YouTube channel, remember this is a radio program and we are nationwide. So if you want to send a message to some relative, hopefully they're listening, or someone who knows them is listening, just please put it in the YouTube chat. I will relay that message over the airwaves to see if somebody on that end can at least hear you, or if you're from that area and you're listening to this program, you want to send out some information to your relatives, please feel free to use our platform. We have no concern. Or you can call us. Again, the numbers are 630-9371 to 618-6730. We're on for the next 10 minutes, and from that I will just look at the YouTube chat or listen out for any callers, and I will just relay any information you want to send to a family member.
I'm seeing someone in the chat, Winsome Nemhart, she's saying, would like words from Petersfield, Westmoreland. Myself too, Winsome. That's where my grandmother is. Would love to hear something from Petersfield, Westmoreland. And Paradise Plum is saying, all communication in Westmoreland has been cut off and the roads are blocked. You can connect via Starlink if you have that option. Paradise, by chance, are you in Westmoreland? Let us know, Paradise Plum, if by chance you're in Westmoreland utilizing Starlink.
And I'm seeing a lot of people in the YouTube chat want to know where their daughter is. No contact with Westmoreland, no contact with Hanover, no contact with Trelawney. It is really concerning. Communication so important at a time like this. And I think despite the best efforts, I can understand that there's only so much you can do in the face of a Category 5 storm. So in these circumstances, I think the government and the other powers that be will have to invest in some form of communications, telecommunications that does not rely heavily on transmission by cell towers or by the wires that are currently in place, because clearly it's showing that in these times of emergency we need to move away from that kind of communication. I understand Starlink seems to be one of the best alternative options now. Maybe the government might need to look into some contracts that can be had there and see how we can work that out. But I understand we do have a caller. Delroy, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
And to my friend from the West, how are you doing, man?
Boy, I'm living, wanting to hear from family members down there, but we understand the circumstances, yeah?
Well, I speak to my daughter down there in White House, Westmoreland, this month by Starlink.
And how is she doing?
Boy, she's standing, but a lot of things gone because she have a rich and everything wiped out. And I getting Uranium Garden District, Road Town District, everything wiped out. All the way to Petersville, Red Gate, I see everything up there is wiped. I don't know the place like that anymore. The place is changed. Yeah.
Wow.
It's changed. And I heard that this three person died down there in Garden District, that is in White House. and she up in Petersburg. So a total of 6 people up in down in White House direction there.
Wow.
Oh dear. I don't know how we haven't heard that information yet. I understand in terms of what we know here.
You're in the ear, my daughter, because when I spoke to her this morning, she was right up one of the ear that knocked down. So it's she from the ear and she from Petersburg.
Oh dear. Oh dear. We're going to have to confirm that information, caller, but that is tragic. If that is so, that is really tragic. The last thing I want to hear is more deaths happening as a result of the passage of this storm. That's the loss of life is always regrettable, and that is very tragic.
I see Paradise Plum also responding. Paradise Plum says, no, I'm not from Westmoreland, but they spoke to someone from Westmoreland, also confirming that my school Mannings is severely damaged by this storm. Yes, Paradise Plum, I saw some images from down there.
And not Road is well damaged just like that too.
Oh dear.
Man. Okay, anyway, have a good night.
All the best.
Sharon Bless on YouTube is reaching out to Linford Williams or Roddy Williams from Beaufort, Westmoreland, and also Eric Roach from Orange Hill, Westmoreland. She is trying to get word from you. If you are listening, Linford or Roddy Williams or Beaufort, please reach out to Sharon. She wants to hear from you. She's concerned and she wants to hear from her relatives down there in Westmoreland. I also see some other persons here. I see Kay Lloyd trying to find the Blakes from Content Westmoreland. Kay Lloyd trying to get some information about the Blakes from Content Westmoreland as well. And Dr. Finn says he needs words from Ferris Cross Westmoreland. All of these people trying to reach out to Westmoreland in particular, trying to get some information about their family and loved ones. And I can understand and appreciate the concern, especially in those western parishes where communication has really just gone black as a result of the failure of the electricity grid in the passage of the storm. So hopefully we do get some information out of those parishes going forward. As I understand it, speaking with Peter Bunting today down there in South Manchester and Dayton Campbell over there in Westmoreland, they've been using Starlink to try and get some communication going between relatives and family members out there as they try to await the restoration of the telecommunication services. So it seems that Starlink is the way to go, listeners. If you have a Starlink available to you and you're willing to get that device out there into the areas where it is very, very, very direly in need, please do so, but also remain safe yourself and traverse that area as carefully as you can and wait for instructions as well.
A quick message here. Someone says that they're trying to get information about Gladstone and Lorna Palmer. They're the elderly parents for, Orethia Palmer in the chat, in All Sides, Warsop, Trelawney.
Kamala is asking for information on Christiana. I'm assuming this is Christiana over in Manchester. I wish I had information to give you, Kamala. I just don't. I understand, as speaking to the MPs in that area, that it is not a pretty sight. There are areas they're still marooned by flood waters. They're hoping for that to recede so they can get to those communities and render some assistance. But as I said, the western areas in Jamaica, a lot of the corridors are still blocked. They're trying to restore services. Electricity is down, if not in a significant portion of most of those parishes of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and so forth.
I see MS8329 says that I did not give the names. Well, my grandmother's name is Peggy Johnson, and my mother is Joy Lewis. Yeah.
Okay, I'm hearing from her producer who has contact with their relatives out in Christiana, Manchester, that things are not so bad there. There's some damage to the roofs. The power is out in a lot of areas, but as I understand it, she says things are not so out of sorts in Christiana, Manchester. So thank you for that information, Dana. I'm sure that will give some relatives some comfort as they await word from their own loved ones. I see Dolly Kerry here, so I'm trying to hear from my mother, who will be 100 in January in Catskin District in Southern St. James. Well, I spoke with the MP of Southern St. James yesterday, and she is relaying what information others have been relaying in terms of the damage, and I think the word she used was simply utterly devastated.
Oh, no.
Southern St. James devastated completely by the passage of Hurricane Melissa, and cell services, electricity down across the entire constituency, and they're trying to get communication channels open as well as relief and assistance to the people there. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have in the program this evening. We will get more information relayed to you in the coming hours into the morning newscast tomorrow, so please stay with us. Thank you to our super producer Dana Davey for keeping on top of things this afternoon, our technical operator Andrew the Glen Boogs Anderson, as well as everyone in the YouTube chat. Keep safe. Keep in touch with your family members as well as your loved ones in this difficult time in terms of the wake of Hurricane Melissa. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Just one quick one. Sonia and Balvin Leslie in Westmoreland, my friend Randy and Leslie, their parents, their roof is completely gone. They're unable to find them. If anyone listening can get to them, their daughter Rondine is trying to get in touch with them. My name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Taboo topics.
Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussion.